heroism. It's the pursuit of two ideals, excellence and a higher purpose. This noble mission is not just found in Hollywood. It's a game changer for businesses devoted to it. Almost all business owners launch their company to make a difference in the world around them. Join us on the Heroic Experience as we talk with business owners, senior leaders, and established entrepreneurs so that you too can elevate your business to heroic success. Now, here's your host, John D. Hanson.
Welcome back to another episode of the Heroic Experience, where we are committed to elevating your business to heroic success. We are grateful to be sponsored by Kaufman Media. Check out their digital signage solutions and far more on their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. Happy to have Patrick Metzger, certified EOS Implementer, business coach, and speaker, as our guest today from the Dakotas, of all places, not a territory, one of the states. We are so looking forward to our conversation today with you. And we always start off by some of the best wow stories you've got for clients that worked with you, Patrick, and are so happy they did. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much, you guys. I appreciate you having me on here.
So what are some of the best wow stories that come to your mind of clients that may have not have even known who you were? They started working with you and are so glad they did, Patrick.
Yeah, well, the thing with the business that I work with, what's super unique about them is all of those business owners and those leadership teams, you know, they all have their unique individual issues that they're dealing with.
Right.
Typical businesses that I step into, I mean, I would say by far the number one issue that I see that I've really helped businesses with is to just get everybody on the same page with the plan and where the organization is going.
Yep.
You know, every single company I've walked into the door with, their number one struggle is just, man, we have a lot going on.
Yes.
You know, we don't have strong role clarity. We don't know exactly who's doing what.
Right.
We haven't clarified our vision for short term, midterm, long term. Therefore, everyone's just kind of sitting there and spinning, wondering what are we all working toward? You know, what are we really all setting our sails towards? So, you know, I think of one of the companies I started with, would have been 2 Octobers ago, so a little bit over a year ago as we're recording this. And I walked into that company. I think at the time they had 6 or 7 employees, couple $1 million in revenue, and they were moving into a brand new building, and they were trying to create a brand new, really, vision and brand for their organization. And they didn't have any processes. They had zero role clarity. Everyone was wearing multiple hats. I mean, people all over the place. And I came into that organization, and in less than a year, we had the business owner literally wondering, what in the world am I going to do now?
Ah, perfect.
And what she meant by that was the organization is running itself now.
Yes.
They had since hired a few more people. They said the integration was absolutely seamless, bringing those people in because they were a rock solid values culture fit. They had a process for exactly how they were going to do it and integrate and onboard, and it was just an awesome experience. And now they've really set themselves in a perfect position of scaling and growing as much and as fast as they really want to.
Yeah.
Because that can obviously be a huge problem for organizations. Also, you know, I kind of step into companies that are usually in one of 2 buckets. You know, the first bucket being, man, we have a ton of issues. We're not growing. We want to grow. We want to scale, but we have a lot of things to figure out.
Right.
And sometimes they're even in dire straits also. And then in the second bucket, you have companies that are absolutely just a rocket ship taking off, and it's like, man, how do we keep all of this together?
Right.
And how do we make sure we're laying groundwork as we go, because we don't really have any right now?
Right.
And they realize the trouble that's going to cause down the road for them.
Yes. Yeah, 3 things jumped out as me. You were sharing those stories, Patrick. One was clarity, a great book that I finished called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. One line has stuck with me in particular that said, clarity attracts, confusion repels. If you don't have clarity, it's like your magnet's turned off. You're not going to be able to attract and keep both the team members and the clients you want because you don't even know what it is clearly that you do, that you're responsible for, and internally that manifests itself in where you're cranking up the treadmill, so to speak, where that thing's just humming faster and faster. But it's like you're hanging on for dear life, because how much faster can the treadmill go and you not have this catastrophic, funny viral commercial end up where you go flying off the treadmill and crash into the wall. The other thing was you mentioned that the business owner got to the point where it's like, well, now what do I do? That's what every business owner should be shooting for. If they started a business because they were good at something and they wanted to add value in the marketplace, and they should get to the point. It's another book that I finished by Mike Michalowicz called Clockwork, where if you can't set 2 years out a 2-week vacation and go on it, and your business run as well or be doing even better by the time you come back, then it's too dependent on you. What would you say to, particularly that last piece? I love that light bulb moment that owner had, and I'm sure you've had more than one of them, where they're now free to do what they do best and enjoy that. Then the business just takes off even more. You know,
it's funny because those two things go hand in hand, the clarity piece and then also the what we call delegate and elevate.
Okay.
Is a phrase that we use within EOS Entrepreneurial Operating System. That's every single leadership team member's goal, especially that visionary or owner at the top, is how do we delegate you out of the day-to-day, elevate you into your true visionary direction, culture, role, whatever it is that you want it to be.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you also create confidence.
Yes.
And you create confidence in your organization. You're also going to have better attraction. You look at workforce issues and stuff going on. Today, they're probably the number one issue that I'm seeing in every business right now.
Staffing.
When you have a really clear direction for your organization and your people and what everything looks like, you start attracting the right people, because there aren't many organizations that are doing that right now.
Yes. And what would you say about retention? The need to have, especially as you're growing, that's a good problem to have, of adding team members. But what about the ones you currently have? How does that factor into what you do?
Well, what I do, when I come into an organization, we essentially, we put together what we call an accountability chart the very first day. So if you think of a typical organizational chart, it lacks a ton of detail to it.
Sure.
So what we do is we add a ton of detail and clarity to what are all the roles and responsibilities for everybody in the organization. So what we do very first day is we essentially fire everyone in the organization, and we say, all right, as a leadership team, knowing what you know now and knowing what you actually need in your business, how would you optimally set it up to structure, or how would you structure it optimally to get it functioning as highly as possible? Let's not think about people, who you have, who you don't have. What does the structure need to look like? Once we set that up, then we take, all right, here are the people you have in your business. Now let's plug them into the right, what we call the right seat.
Yes. So that analogy just came to mind, the bus, right? Jim Collins talks, the right seat on the bus. Collins. You got to build the bus. You got to find out how many seats you need. Then you fill the seats with the person that goes best in that seat. We want good players on the bus. You just got to figure out what seat to put them in. But if you haven't built the bus, you don't know how many seats the bus has got. You're going to be putting people in just any old seat. We are up against a break. When we come back, we're going to get to hear Patrick's story, which I love that segment, hearing people's stories. If you want to hear more of the heroic experience, check us out on Spotify, Podbean, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, or visit our YouTube channel, Accelerated Revenue. Join us back after the break to hear Patrick's story.
Inspire, influence, and connect your audience with digital signage. Kaufman Media offers customizable digital signage solutions designed to meet your company's specific goals. Whether you need digital menu boards for your quick service restaurant, digital displays for marketing in your retail stores, or wayfinding and unified communications for your schools, your corporations, or your healthcare facility, our customizable, affordable options and proven experience make us the only partner you'll need for your next digital signage project. Visit kaufmanmedia.com today to learn more. That's COFFMAN media.com.
Would you buy a car from a dealer without a test drive first? For your business, a consulting partner is even more important. Accelerated Revenue is excited to announce the Take Us for a Test Drive event. Receive 2 exclusive workshops on customer experience and winning culture, a customized culture snapshot, and a leadership strategy session worth over $10,000, all in for just $2,500. Best of all, when you onboard our consulting team, we'll credit you the entire $2,500. Spots are limited, so visit our website today at accrev.com/test drive.
Check out John's worldwide selling book, Wow Your Customers, 7 Ways to World-Class Service on Amazon. Now, once again, here's John.
Welcome back to the Heroic Experience. You know, I love what I do. More importantly, I'm so grateful for the organizations that support what we do. And Kaufman Media has been our banner sponsor from day one. So honored to have them. Check out their digital signage solutions and far more on their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. Happy to have Patrick Metzger, certified EOS Implementer, business coach, and speaker, as our guest today. This is my favorite segment, Patrick, because I get to hear your story. Far back as you like to go, I know little bits about people's stories, but now I get to hear all of it, and so do our listeners too. So go back as far as you'd like. We'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. I love hearing people's stories because it really shows how they tick, what they're all about. So, yeah, to go way back, like you said, I was raised in the Dakotas, right in central North Dakota, born and raised, loved athletics growing up, have always loved the outdoors, and loved to hunt, fish, things like that. I'm a big self-development guy. I love to read. I love podcasts. And that kind of led me into, I guess, really where I am now, and kind of how I got there is growing up, both my parents were teachers.
Okay.
So I grew up in a school. I was a gym rat. And, you know, as I look back and connect all the dots, it's funny because it never makes sense along the way.
No, it doesn't.
Then when you get to a certain point in your life, you look back and you go, oh, my gosh, it's a perfectly straight line now all of a sudden, right?
Right. Yeah.
But, when I graduated from high school, I wasn't real positive what I wanted to do. I had given teaching, coaching a thought. And really, you know, what was most important to me at the time was football. I was a pretty darn good football player in high school. I signed to play at North Dakota State, if anyone knows the NDSU Bison, how many national championships they've won and stuff. So I signed to play quarterback there. Was super excited about football, and really, honestly, that's all I was focusing on. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Like I said, teaching was a maybe thing, but about 6 weeks before I reported to fall camp, you know, as an 18-year-old kid ready to launch into a football career, one of my best friends was actually killed in a car accident. And it was actually a girl I had dated for a long time, and that really sent my life spinning in a completely different direction. So it really mentally threw a wrench at me. Ended up quitting football after the first week because I mentally was just not into it. And ended up changing schools, transferred out of North Dakota State to a smaller school, North Dakota Valley City State University. Loved school there. Did end up going into teaching, coaching, and took my first job right out of college in a small town, Castleton, North Dakota, just outside of Fargo. And launched into my teaching coaching career. Loved everything. Had the opportunity to be a head football coach at 25 years old, so extremely young, leadership position. Taught me an enormous amount about teamwork. To look back, letting go, letting your team really take over and run the show. And as I look back, I laugh because I was terrible at that. And it was one of the best lessons I ever learned. Was, you know, surround yourself with good people and let them do the work. Let them do what they do best. You know, I wasn't familiar with the bus analogy, we'll just say at that point in my life. But I got into my 11th year of teaching, and, you know, I hit a brick wall. And I love teaching. Coaching has always been my passion, and it's what I do still. I mean, that's exactly what I do with leadership teams. I teach, coach, facilitate the impossible conversations that teams don't want to have and organizations don't want to have, and help them find the answers to those things. But my 11th year, I really felt like I just smashed into a brick wall and was being called to do something else.
Okay.
And I had no idea what it was. But I'm a big believer in if you're not going to continue down a road,
right?
If you know you don't want to continue down a road,
yeah,
or you're being pulled onto a different road, trust your gut, trust your instincts, roll the dice on yourself.
Yeah.
So I actually ended up resigning at Thanksgiving of my 11th year of teaching. I was an upper elementary, middle school teacher, actually, so I have a pretty unorthodox background as a business coach, but left teaching, did some executive recruiting for about 6 months. Shortly thereafter, my wife and I adopted a brand new daughter out of the Minneapolis area. She's an absolute little sweetheart. That really changed our whole perspective on life also.
Sure.
And a huge turning point was I left recruiting, started managing a gym because I have a really strong health wellness background. And I read the book Crush It by Gary Vee.
Oh, yeah.
And the book Crush It is all about building out an online business.
Okay.
And it really got me thinking about capitalizing on my health wellness background and building an online health wellness coaching consulting business.
Okay.
So at the time I was managing this gym, and I got about 9 months into that, and I had actually just launched my online business about 2 months before this point, and I got called into a fake meeting by the business owner, and he pressured me to quit because he had gotten everything he wanted.
Whoa.
He had me expand the gym, renovate it, bring on classes, bring on instructors, and he really didn't need me anymore.
Whoa.
So he pressured me to quit, and I looked right at him, and I had no idea if this was the right thing to do or not, but I looked right at him, and I said, "You're either going to fire me or I'm going to go back to my office," because I knew that I had a clause in my contract where I would have owed him a huge amount of money if I would have actually resigned and back pay. So I had no idea, like I said, if it was the right thing to do. I kind of just trusted in the good Lord at that point, and he looked at me and he goes, "All right, I'm going to let you go." And it threw me into the deep end of the pool of, what do you do now?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
And again, I rolled the dice big time. I launched into my online business full time. And a couple of months after that, my business was pretty successful, but was working way too much, making very little money.
Okay.
So I actually signed up to work with a business coach out of San Diego who someone had introduced me to. He was a very fast, up-and-coming riser kind of in the online coaching industry. And I caught him at the right time before he absolutely blew up because he's ridiculously successful now. And he completely changed everything for me. Within a week actually the second week of our one-on-one calls, he called me out in the meeting right away before we even started. He goes, "Patrick, what are we doing here, man?" And I go, his name was Peter Scott. I go, "What do you mean, Peter?" I said, I got all my stuff ready. I'm ready for a call. He goes, No. He goes, "What are we doing here with all this?" And I said, "Peter, you got to give me more info. I don't know what you're talking about." And he goes, "Patrick," I remember he looked right at me on the computer through Zoom, and he goes, "I'll tell you this. I work with a lot of people," that he goes, "I don't work with many people like you that have so much more gas in the tank." He goes, "You have the ability to go way beyond health wellness." He goes, "I see you on a stage speaking. I see you working with big-time businesses, leadership teams." He goes, "You have that kind of potential, and we're going to capitalize on it." And it was the first time in my life somebody had ever, ripped out everything that I had felt inside of me and made me see it for what it was and show me what we're going to do with it.
Wow.
So within months, we transitioned my business from health wellness, literally writing nutrition and strength programs for people, to holistic life coaching, and that morphed very quickly then into high-performance coaching with CEOs and owners, and that's when I ran across the book Traction by Gino Wickman, which changed it all for me.
Yes, all right.
And it was actually a
Well, we are up against the break, believe it or not, and time flies. Man, you had me engaged. That story was so cool. When we come back in the third segment, we're especially going to dive into that EOS part, because I want to hear it, and I know our listeners do too. Join us back after the break, where we are going to hear all about how Patrick made that shift, and it changed his life and the life of his clients.
Did you know that 70% of U.S. residents 12 and older recall seeing digital signage in the past week? Digital signage provides a 35% reduction in perceived wait time with a 30% increase in a customer's in-store browsing time. Kaufman Media offers customizable digital signage solutions designed to meet your company's specific goals. Christina said,
We love our digital signage. The software is easy to use and we can publish content in minutes. It allows for every department to be seen and have a voice.
Visit kaufmanmedia.com today to learn more. That's COFFMAN media.com.
Attention event planners. Is your company or association planning a conference, seminar, or staff retreat? Are you looking for fresh ideas on high-demand topics like customer experience, leadership, empathy, customer service, earning and keeping trust, and more? Then you need to book John D. Hansen as your next speaker. Brooke said,
Great presentation. John's concepts help shift my thinking. A good fit for my life right now.
read more testimonials, discover John's full list of speaking topics, check out pricing and more on our website, accrev.com/keynote.
Would you like to be a guest on the Heroic Experience? Contact us at john.hansen@accrev.com. Now, once again, here's John.
Welcome back to the Heroic Experience. We are proudly sponsored by Kaufman Media. Check out their digital signage solutions and far more on their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. Honored to have Patrick Metzger. He is the certified EOS Implementer, business coach, and speaker we've talked to, and the segments have flown because, Patrick, your stories have just engaged me so strongly, and I'm looking forward to diving into this segment where we really get into the nuts and bolts of what you do, how you do it, why it's important, differentiators. But what's the best way for people to contact you?
Yeah, the best way is to hit my website, which is www.eosworldwide.com, and then it is Patrick-Metzger.
Gotcha. And how do you spell your last name for those listening that will be able to jot it down later?
Yep, Metzger is Metzger.
Got it. Well, you talked about EOS. You talked about running across the book Traction. Both Traction and Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman were two of my favorite reads in 2019. I totally get how powerfully insightful those two books were. So you were just about to go into the shift. You made the jump from that shift based off of some great advice from a coach. So, man, there's so many ways we could go this, but I want you to take it and run. What direction do you want to go now? What do you want to share with people listening about either EOS or your journey that could help them?
Yeah, my journey really leads into EOS, so this is perfect. I left off talking about, I was working with a CEO of mine doing high-performance coaching, and he mentioned the book Traction. Which is a phenomenal read. It's one of the top business books out there written by Gino Wickman on the EOS entrepreneurial operating system. And it's funny because the CEO said, we were talking about all the mess, we were talking about the messy back seat of his car, all the junk in the back of his car. And he mentioned this book lying back there, and I'm super analytical, so I go, what's that one about? Because I hadn't heard of it.
Right.
And he goes, it's an operating system. It's got some pretty cool tools in there and stuff. And I immediately ordered it. Second I got it, I crushed that thing in like a day or two.
Yeah.
And when I read through that, I was absolutely sold.
Yep.
It was, nothing has probably ever spoken to me louder in life than this is the next thing you need to do, Patrick.
Wow.
And the reason why is because all these CEOs and owners and managers and leaders I had been doing coaching with, they were all suffering from all the same issues.
Right.
They all had people issues and communication issues and lack of processes and lack of clarity. Their people didn't understand what they saw. And when I read Traction, it takes everything within a business and wraps it into one simple operating system of tools and a framework that's extremely easy to implement. You still got to execute it.
Sure.
But it's very, very easy to implement because it takes what a company's already doing and plugs it into those things to just execute at a way higher level. So when I read this book, I was sold. I went and told my wife, I found the next thing I am going to do. And she was like, oh, boy, now what?
Oh, no.
I mean, because this was only a matter of a few years where I resigned from teaching. I did recruiting. I worked at a gym, managed a gym. I started my own business. I had worked with a business coach, and now this was like the next thing. So she asked me, I'll never forget it. She looked at me, she goes, how much does it cost?
Right.
And I told her how much it cost, which is multiple tens of thousands to go train. Yeah. And she just goes, oh. But long story short, I rolled the dice again. One more time, I went, did the training. About 8 weeks after that, I started with my very first company right here in North Dakota. And fast forward to now, I work with dozens of companies nationally from coast to coast. And what I really do with those organizations is really help them clarify the vision, communicate that to their team, their client avatar, through their marketing. We build a super strong strategic plan around how in the world are we going to do everything.
Right.
From processes to track the data to create more openness, honesty, transparency within the organization. We help everyone top to bottom in the business get super laser focused on what matters. I always say we break down the elephant into the big elephant into
yes.
digestible chunks
yes.
of how we're going to attack everything as an organization, from high level to management level to every single individual, getting really laser focused on what is most important to get done. Kind of quarter by quarter, we call those rocks, and then really just help build a way healthier, higher performing, higher functioning team and organization, because there's so many variables and there's so many issues going on within a business. You have to have a high functioning team, and it starts at the very, very top. So I come into these companies, like I said, nationally, and I really function as a teacher of the system. I coach people how to use the tools really well, and then facilitate the really tough stuff that people don't want to do themselves. They don't want to talk about. They don't know how to do it.
Right.
And we pull the answers out of the organization that already exist to fix the issues that are there.
Yes. Boy, 3-4 things jumped out of the page. Well, first of all, you said elephant into bites. That's what was coming to my mind. If you tell the teenager to clean their room and it's like, this is impossible. You tell a business owner, we're going to transform your business. They're like, this is impossible. Wait a minute. There is a way to eat the elephant. You just got to take it one bite at a time. Well, what if I told you that I've got already a recipe that breaks it down in each bite that you need to do, so that before you know it, the elephant is not only eaten, you're on to your next elephant or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Great analogy. I liked, too, my word for 2022 is catalyst. I want to be a catalyst for businesses where they've got all the right ingredients. They just need a spark. They just need somebody to strike a match and poof, up it goes. I can't transform an organization that's happy with how we've always done it. I can't help companies that are comfortable, but I can help companies that are like, man, it seems like we just crank the treadmill faster and faster, but we're not getting anywhere. Is there somebody that can help us with this? And boom, here's your plan. And I especially like this, Patrick. When you laid out your story for us, teacher, coach, wellness, teamwork, leadership, those have all been aspects of your journey. You combine all those along with a framework that's proven like EOS. That was those pieces, like you said, looking back, those were essential so that you can be one of those well-rounded. You don't just have theory. You have practical life experiences where you've seen success in those areas. That's fantastic. We've got about a minute and a half left. What would you say?
Go ahead. I was going to say, one of the best compliments I always get from John people, and it's a thing that always hits home for me, is people give me the compliment of, Patrick, you not just know the system in our business, but you are a deadly effective teacher in general. And that's what makes a difference, is whether a team can apply it or not.
Sure. Right. Breaking it down into digestible things, actions they can take. So with that little bit that we've got left, that minute and a half, we want to help business owners, executives, entrepreneurs. What would you say to them? They're considering, like, the needle stuck. Well, why should they consider EOS, and especially why should they consider to reach out to you?
Yeah, I would say a couple things. Number one is it's bulletproof. I always say, when you do things right and you execute it, it just plain works. I mean, we have thousands and thousands of companies that have proven that worldwide. And then second item is we guarantee everything that we do. So as an implementer, I come in, I work with a company. If you don't get the value that you want, you do not pay for it, and you aren't obligated to continue to go through the process. So there's no money up front, there's no contract, anything like that. And we take teams right away through what we call our 90-minute meeting. So we're going to vet you out very, very closely. It's a completely free meeting that we offer to teams, and it gets a ton of things on the table to, number one, show us if you're a great fit for going through this, but number two, it reveals a ton in that 90 minutes about your team, your team. Sure.
Yeah, it helps you know kind of where to start. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on. When I connected with you, gosh, a couple years ago, I could instantly tell there's just something about Patrick's energy, his enthusiasm, and that just how he loves to help people that's authentic. So honored to have you on. I hope if you're a business owner and you like some solutions, reach out to Patrick. You'll be glad you did. Join us back on the next episode of The Heroic Experience, where we're going to help you elevate your business to heroic success.
This has been The Heroic Experience. To learn how your business can be profitable and heroic, visit ACCREV.com. For access to free weekly content, subscribe to the Accelerated Revenue YouTube channel and follow John D. Hanson on LinkedIn. To listen to archived shows, find them on the Accelerated Revenue website under the Resources tab, ACCREV.com.